Hey, welcome back to Rust Order Garage. It's another frozen day. And I'm not kidding. I waited till, what time is it? It's probably almost 3 in the afternoon because it didn't hit the high temperature today till 2, which is 22 degrees. It's not been a good winter. But I don't have any choice. I have to get this stuff done because the next 2 builds have hard deadlines. So I can't just push this car aside and say I'll get to it in a month. Can't happen. So, as you know, if you've been following the build, I've been working on the dashboard. It's working its way from the driver's side to the passenger side. So, the next thing on the list, once I finish the gauges, which are almost done, will be the radio. So, I have the factory Rambler radio, which I want to keep in the dash. I do have the original knobs. They're not on here right now. And I cut all the wires because I powered this thing up and it doesn't work. It does turn on, then the light turned on, but no static, no noise. It doesn't work. And it doesn't matter. I was just playing with it to see if it would do anything just for the fun of it because I don't need an AM radio. I don't listen to sports radio anymore, which is pretty much all that's on AM radio anymore. I want it to play music from my phone, which means I need to convert this to Bluetooth. Now, as you know, everything I do is a budget build. This, believe it or not, if this works, is going to cost less than $20. In fact, the piece I have right here that I bought off of Amazon was $14.99 plus tax. So, pretty budget friendly. So we're going to see if this works. And what we're going to do is basically gut this thing. And I want to keep the factory power and volume knob and connect it to this Bluetooth receiver, which kind of comes as a kit. This is the mounting plate for it, but this is the actual unit itself. Very small, very simple. And if I can mount it, looking at it right now, if I can mount it upside down in here, I should be able to figure out some way to connect the original power and volume knob to the power volume knob on this. And that was the reason I bought this, is because it has a factory type rotary power switch. And it's got a little amplifier on it, and it's got speaker outputs on it. And we're going to bench test this first. I'm going to connect it to, I've got a car battery sitting here. We'll hook up some jumpers. And I've got a couple speakers here I had laying around from parts cars. And I'm going to connect the speakers to this thing. And we're going to power it up and see if it works first before we even do any of this. So first thing I'll do is I'm going to connect the speakers. And they are polarity specific. There's your positive and negative for the speakers. And your speakers will be marked on the back, on the terminals where the wires connect. They'll be marked positive and negative because it does make a difference in which direction the cone moves. So I'm going to wire those up, hopefully the correct way. Then this is the power connector, the power cord in here. It plugs in with this little like RCA type jack, you want to call it. And I'll put jumper leads on that and connect that to the battery. And look, it even comes with a little Phillips head screwdriver to do the wires. And there's a few standoffs in here so that you can mount this thing. So that's pretty cool too. But I won't use those yet. First, I'm just going to wire this up and we're going to see if it even works before we put it in. And I didn't choose these speakers for any particular reason other than they're the first ones I tripped over and they had wires already connected to them. So I didn't have to go chase down more wires to make this happen. And if this works, I don't know what speakers I'm going to use. I may put 2 speakers up under the dash in the factory speaker location on the car. There used to be obviously only 1 speaker there. But I think if I had two smaller ones, I could probably put it under there. I'm not looking for the best, I guess you say, monster high fidelity setup. Or, you know, we could run speaker wires and put better speakers in the car. I have a bunch of speakers laying around. But we will see how that goes once we confirm that this works. All right, I got my speakers wired up. And we got the power connector here with very small wires. Really small wires. Wow. That's really small. All right. I don't think I did cut any of the wires out. That's just really, really small wire to power this thing up. All right. Now, let's see here. I'll hook up a couple jumper leads to the battery. Red to positive and black to ground. If my alligator clips will even grab these small wires. Man, those are little. Let me get this hooked up. We'll come back. Okay, I've got the speakers wired up. The power wires off this wire, the connector, was so small, I ended up soldering little larger wires onto them to extend them, which I had to do anyway. And I've got the positive side going through a 20 amp fuse, and I'm going to connect that to my battery. So now I have fused power into this thing. All right, I turned it on and it made some sound. You see, you turn it on and there's the sound, and you get a flashing light. Now I'm going to grab my cell phone and see. It's so cold my phone doesn't want to turn on. Are you kidding? My display is not working on my phone. Oh, there it goes. It's so cold. Let's go into my Bluetooth settings and see if this shows up as something. Bluetooth. Let's see here. Other devices. Bluetooth audio showed up. So let's select that. All right. We're connected. All right, I'm amazed. This thing actually sounds like it might work. Here we go. How about a little bit of Judas Priest? Let's see if this works. Actually, I'm impressed. It doesn't obviously have the amp power to really drive loud music, but it will do the trick. Absolutely. I could mount even these two speakers up under the dash or in the kicks or somewhere, and I think that is a great option. It's obviously not going to replace a high power sound system, I can tell that now, but to have some tunes, I think that's really cool. I don't know how much power this thing puts out, but that is more than enough for the car. That is for sure. This is going to be good. All right, now we got to get this inside there. All right, well, you know, that's impressive, I have to say. If this and if this video comes back with all kind of crazy edits, it's probably because I got copyright strikes for playing music I don't own. But that's okay. I own it because I bought it, but not enough to transmit it. All right, we'll take the speakers back off of here. What a neat little unit. $15. That is just great. And I wonder if you had if you can get like an app for the phone with like an equalizer, and you could, you know, so you can adjust the levels for the bass and the mid-range and whatever. And yeah, that would make it even better. So what I'm going to do now, let me just dump all this stuff out here and see what this mounting bracket is for this, and if it'll help me get this thing mounted in here. All right, so we're going to assemble this thing. It's got obviously the main unit. It has this plate that goes on the bottom, a bunch of little Phillips head screws that will go through this, through the PC board, and then you thread them into these little standoffs that come with it. And then on top is this plate that will screw down into those standoffs. They also give you a little volume knob, which we're not going to use because we're going to use factory knobs. But they put holes in this so that it fits over the bottom and basically just keeps any of these contact points, solder points, from touching anything metal in case you set it inside something. So we're going to assemble this, and I'll show it to you when it's all done. In progress, there's the bottom plate, screws through it and into the standoffs, and then the top plate will just sit on top like that. Put the screws in, and that'll be done. There you go. It's assembled. And it says on here, each channel's 100 watts. You know, take that for what it is. I'm not an audiophile, so, you know, you want to get into RMS and output power and all that kind of stuff. Have fun. But all I know is it'll play music. Good enough for me. So next thing, and man, it's getting cold. I'm starting to lose the feeling in my toes, so this may be finished tomorrow. Got to open this up and gut this thing because we don't need anything in it. I already took the 2 screws out of the back because I know this is going to come off to get in it. At least I think so. All right. There's the inside. It's all going to be gone. And then I got to figure out how to... mounting this will be easy. The only trick will be getting the connection to here. All right, well, here's what we got. An empty radio case, completely gutted. The tuning section I kept. It actually was a nice one-piece unit that I could mess with. And the hole where the original power on, off, and volume was, I was able to mount this unit right in it. And then the on-off volume potentiometers, I guess they would be, I cut the end off of it, and it was 2 pieces. There was this center section here that was there, and there was a sleeve that went around it. And the sleeve is kind of like a split piece there, and you see I just kind of pried it open and I stuck it right over the knob section on the amp. And what I'm going to do is make sure that's sticking out the right amount. I'll put it back in the chassis, make sure the knobs will work, and then I'm going to take this in the house where it's warmer and pack this full of JB Weld and stick this right in there and epoxy it in, and hopefully this will be set up the same as it was when it was original. All right, back out here in the cold after going in and doing the epoxy thing. I probably should just take everything in the house, but I always end up forgetting something, so we'll just do it out here and freeze. So I put the trim piece over the radio for the dash just to make sure the length of the knobs would be correct and all that mess, and put it all together. And here's what we ended up with. So the pieces from the original power and volume knob is attached to the amp. And now, hopefully, if I don't lose everything, this should bolt back into the front unit. And then we put this whole box back together, and I'm going to attach wires to the speaker outputs and run them outside the case along with the power. And I got to solder a wire on here for my light, because I'm going to have the light bulb turn on with the lights in the car, not with the power switch on the radio anymore. and we'll see what we end up with. And then we'll test it again, because I had to edit out the Judas Priest because I was afraid I was going to get a copyright strike, which I'm sure I would. So I put some YouTube friendly music on my phone, and we'll use that to test this once it's all assembled. All right, I've got most of the radio case assembled. I just left the top off for now so I can show you everything inside. I have all my wiring in here, run to the outside with strain reliefs and everything, so you can't rip the wiring out of it, hopefully. But I just want to test it before I finish off. And so everything's connected. I will turn it on. Or maybe it was already on. Let me see here. There we go. Okay, that's on. I will play some, there we go, it's connected to the phone. I will play some YouTube licensed music. Just so you can see it works. Now I think I have it down. Let's see here. I'll turn it all the way up on my phone. And then I have plenty of volume and plenty of stereo separation. It sounds fine. It goes pretty loud. Probably louder than you need, which is pretty good for such a small little package here. So let me show you how it looks inside and how we ended up finishing up. So here's the inside. I kept my original tuning section, so the tuner knob still works and the indicator still moves. Can't turn it very well without a knob, but you can see it moving there. The light bulb I have wired out here to gray wire, so I know that's lights because that's just standard GM color code. The same with the power. I used a red and a black for the power wire. As far as my speaker connections here, I used some twisted pair wire that was from ABS wiring from Silverado. And then I wrote what they were on the case. I'll probably write it on the bottom too, just so I have it. And I just ran extra long wires right outside. And here's the inside wiring. You see the zip ties. That's just to hold the wires in place in here. And they got a strain relief and you can't pull anything out. At least, I guess you could, but you know, it's not easily going to fall apart. So that's about it. Let's put the top back on and this thing's done. Oh man, it's cold. All right, so it's next day. I got a haircut, got cleaned up. That's it for this radio. I'm going to try to pump some heat into the inside of the car where it's a little more captive and see if I can finish up the gauges, get this radio installed, and finish up the dash. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it today or not. Again, I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing about the weather and everybody's dealing with it, but man, this is just the worst I can remember. And again, I am really concerned that it's going to knock into the next projects. I hate deadlines, but these projects have fast upcoming deadlines. So I got to get this car done. I just don't know how much I'm going to be able to get done. I need some warm weather. So I'm going to end this one here. When we come back, I don't know where we'll be. Hopefully the dash will be done, and just keep working. There's still like 1.5 feet of snow out there. This car's not going anywhere for a while. In fact, it's funny. So I've been trying to buy a car since last October, and the guy's been stalling for this or that or whatever. He wanted to get something off it before he sold it, and this and that and so on and so forth. Now he wants to sell it. He's changed his mind about taking anything off, and he just wants to sell it. I'm like, well, that's great, except, you know, my truck, my trailer, everything's completely buried. I can't go anywhere, at least for a couple weeks, and we'll see if it's available then. If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. I've got enough junk to keep me busy for a while, which you will see. There's a whole lot more coming up, that's for sure. Plus, you think I'd take a week off and maybe pick up around here a little bit. Maybe. All right, well, that's that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following. Thanks for subscribing. I'm going to try to get something done, and then I'm getting warm. See ya.